Hey everyone, it's Kato, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about some tips and tricks for how to get the perfect flow on your island so everyone can navigate your island seamlessly. If you're interested in content like this and you want to see more in the future, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe, but let's just get right into it. So first things first, I just want to say these are all just my opinion, things that help me to improve how my island is flowing. That's something that's really important to me. I want people to be able to easily navigate around my island. So obviously you don't have to follow these tips, but people ask me a lot in my streams how they can better improve different transition areas on their island. So I wanted to let you guys know the things that I think about when I am planning out my island. The first thing I want to talk about is the entrance. I feel like the entrance is one of the most important parts of your island. It kind of sets the tone in terms of aesthetic and how things are going to overall transition on your island. So as you can see here, this is my farm island that I recently finished. And you can see that this island is a little bit more flat in the entrance. That's just how I designed this one. I'll also show my fall island, which I did a lot more terraforming on, so you guys can see just the differences in how those were terraformed. But I do want to point out that I do have pathing right at my entrance that kind of guides you in the different directions, along with some different signposts and things like that, which kind of just lead you exactly where you need to go. So I like to make sure that my entrances have paths leading to both different sides of my island so you can easily navigate to either side without having to go only one direction. Having the pathing where it leads to the left and the right kind of leads into one of the tips later on in the video where I talk about an entire circle around the perimeter of your island, so stay tuned for that. The next thing I want to talk about is keeping your pathways open. So this is more of a preferred taste, I would say. I know some people like to have their pathways a little bit more cluttered. I have some stuff that overlaps into my pathways, but for the most part, I like to keep my pathways open. I'll have weeds and flowers, stuff like that kind of spreads into them, but I like to be able to easily navigate along my path, and I feel like that really helps with the flow of the island because nothing is getting in my way. I can easily run through it. Obviously, you don't have to have it this way. I do think that having the pathways completely open really helps to guide you and any other player who's coming to your island exactly where you want them to go without any issues. Another small thing that I want to mention is if you're struggling with the flow of your island, I honestly highly recommend using the in-game paths. I feel like using the in-game paths kind of forced me to have my areas be a little bit more linear. Obviously, you can still have things wherever you want them. You're not completely confined to the in-game paths, but this did help me keep things in line. Having that linear aspect to it really made things flow even more seamlessly. I feel like the farming island that I have right now has one of the best flows of any island that I've made so far, so that's just something to keep in mind. So next up, for most of my islands, I like to have a pathway that basically goes around the perimeter of my island. So all along the outside, I will have not a complete circle, but just a general path around the outside. And then I'll have the rest of my paths stemming off from that kind of weave in and out of the center wherever I want someone to go. It's not a complete circle, but you can see just around the exterior of the island, I do have pathing that kind of guides you around. And then you can see all of the paths within the interior of the island that lead you to all of the other places. So just following that path around the perimeter of the island will navigate you quickly around the outskirts. Obviously, if you wanted to see everything, you would have to go on all of the other pathways, but I do just like having this general concept of a path on the outside that kind of helps to guide you around the island in general if you just wanted to kind of run around quickly. I do think that it really helps to make the island flow a lot better. And same thing on my fall island. It's a little bit more challenging just because I didn't use the in-game pads, but I still have that same kind of theme of a circle path around the exterior, and then I have other things around the middle as well, but you can easily navigate around the outsides and then work your way in. Next up, and this is probably one of the most challenging because this does require a little bit of pre-planning. If you have any large focal point areas, like I have this poppy field on my island, on my fall island, I also have just my general flyover area, which is a large section of my island that I decided to create a certain way. If you have anything specific like that you're trying to create, I would try to do it fairly early on in the process of creating your island. Then you can build the flow around that focal point. I feel like this just really helps to prevent any headache towards the end of creating your island. If you've already made pathways and done specific terraforming, it's harder to get these large focal point areas to fit in. But if you do them early, you can kind of build up the island around them, and it makes it a lot easier. All right, and last but not least, when placing your buildings, try to plan out where the path is going to be leading to the building and then exiting from the building. So I normally like to plot out where I'm going to put a building, then I plan out my pathing around that before I actually move the building, just so I can make sure that it's going to work how I envision it. So for example, my museum here, I have it placed in this spot right here. I would normally just mark out this area and then kind of place this path down. I have it leading up to the museum here and then just going by the museum and then heading out behind it. So after I placed down the museum, I would place this path and just make sure that it was all going to work before I actually moved the building, so I can make any adjustments so I'm not just moving buildings around so much. I like to store my buildings on the beach when possible, just so they're kind of out of the way. Or if you have a section of your island that's not terraformed yet, you can always store your buildings over there as well. But I like to definitely plan out my paths before I actually move the buildings. I think the pathing is the most important thing when it comes to the flow of your island. So that is definitely a big thing to keep in mind. I hope that these tips and tricks helped you guys. I hope you found them useful. Let me know, do you plan on using any of them on your island? If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!